I'm going to get this started. I'm going to make sure that it's streaming first. This always happens where it's like there's this weird introduction that I have to do just from the fact it says we're live. I'm going to go to the YouTubes real quickly and double check. Make sure the sound's good. Mute myself. All right, we're good.
Sweet.
All right, so if you are watching this on playback, welcome to the first ever episode. I guess we're just throwing it in with the Vendetta group chats. It's just some random videos that we do about everything, especially sports related. But in case you live under a rock, and I don't know any other reason why you would be here, but that the fact that March Madness, it is here. The brackets have been set. We have, 68 teams that have a chance to go all the way, make history, win the natty. But unfortunately, there are going to be 67 teams that are going to have to go home and cry in their dorm rooms and to their parents because they did not win the national championship, but someone will. One lucky team is going to be. And so that's what we are going to talk about today. I have a lovely cast around me. I will go in order the way that I see them and that you see them on my screen. I'm going to try to full screen this because I don't like it showing like the bars and everything. But anyway, we'll just go down the list real quick. We've got Alex Chick. We've got Elizabeth. How do you say your last name, Liz?
It's Vlad.
Vlad. Okay, I'm terrible with names. We just call her Liz. She's cool. She covers a lot of baseball for us, but you know, she's around the site also in other ways. And then we've got Garrett and Carl too. How you guys doing?
Lovely. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Carl.
Yeah, I'm good. I feel like a kid on Christmas right now.
I know.
Oh.
Carl
One of the best times of the year.
It really is. Even for casuals, what I would say is about probably like 90% of who watches college basketball.
Me?
Like there's a lot of people like this is the first college basketball they watch. Now, full disclaimer, this is probably the least amount of college basketball I have watched going into March Madness, because it was like the past couple years I made it a thing. I was like, I'm gonna get really into college basketball because I want to know who the recruits are, and then I was really into it last year, and then the pandemic hit and we didn't have a March Madness, and then it's just been that kind of year where I haven't been able to really catch up and watch it, but nonetheless we are here now. Carl is probably going to act as our residential expert. So whenever when I'm stuck or I got questions, Carl is going to probably be man numero uno that we go to.
True.
But before we get into the actual brackets and picking who we think is going to move on, so real quickly, how the structure of this is going to work once we get to the actually looking at the brackets, there's an odd number of us here for a reason. Every single one of us, we don't have to go too far in depth. If you don't know too much about the teams, that's fine. We're just going to say who we think is going to move on to the next round. And why there's 5 of us? Well, think of it as like, the Supreme Court. You got to have an odd number so that way a decision is made. Unless someone wanted to bow out for whatever reason and, like vote present. I don't know why you would do that. But anyway. So whoever we decide to move on, that's who we think is going to win. They'll move on into the bracket, into the next matchup, and then we will go all the way through all the matchups, all the games, all the way to the national championship, and we will pick who the winner is. And in fact, I may even throw some money down on what we do and see if us collective members of Vendetta can make me some money or make some other people money. If you want to do it, great.
I'm gonna make, like, how like ESPN has, like, they have like the 25, like you can make 25 brackets.
Yeah.
Not that I do that every year. No, I actually do make 25 brackets just because I can. But I'm gonna make this one as one of my brackets just to see how well it does compared to what I think. It'll be fun.
All right, so I'm just going to bounce it around to you guys. Like I said, since Carl is kind of our expert, going to throw it to Carl first. Looking at the bracket, what's one thing, is there anything that surprised you? Is there a team that maybe didn't get a high enough seed that you thought they probably deserved? Or was there a team that they probably got too high of one that they deserved? Is there a team that got screwed over? Or is there a team that the committee is just so in love with, so over the moon with? but you're really not, and people really shouldn't be.
Yeah, so there's one team that when I was watching through the selection show, and as soon as I saw their seed and who they had to play, that was the team that I thought definitely got screwed the most, and that was Wisconsin.
Dude, yes.
Dude, I don't know how they fell to a 9 seed. They're a very good team. They're very highly rated in a lot of like the advanced metrics and stuff. And they play in a really tough conference. They had a rough like second half of the season, and their offense was kind of just like non-existent. But as far as like putting them as a 9 seed, having to go against North Carolina in the first round, I think they probably deserve maybe a 7 or 6. So I thought that was a little unfair. And then for a team I thought was probably rated a little too highly, I thought it was very interesting that I think it was Syracuse escaped having to play a first 4 game because they've been squarely on the bubble for a few weeks now. You know, a lot of people didn't even have them in the field, and now you have teams like Michigan State and UCLA who have to play each other in a first 4 game, and Syracuse is already into the first round. So that was a little surprising to me.
Yeah, I agree with the Syracuse one. It's just, I feel like that's almost like a legacy type of thing. I don't know. That's what it feels like to me, you know. And like I said, I was pretty casual this year, unfortunately. But yeah, that just feels like one of those things where it's like, I don't know, that they fell too much in love with a team that they were in love with from the beginning of the year, and the committee was just, they didn't want to let go of the idea of, you can't have Syracuse as a play-in team. Like, come on. I mean, UCLA got thrown under the bus, but Garrett, what about you? Anything?
Well, Syracuse, hold on. Syracuse has been a play-in team before. And in fact, the last time Syracuse was a play-in team, they made it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Just saying. And they were an 11 seed back then. Sorry, I'm the biased Syracuse fan.
No, that's fine.
Get him, Liz.
That's fine.
Get him,
I was
Liz.
like, no, Syracuse is. I'm opposite. I think Syracuse should have been rated a little bit higher.
I'm with you.
Only because it's how they've been playing down the stretch. And the loss to UVA by a last-second three-pointer that took them out of the ACC tournament was a rough one. But, I mean, they've been playing well down the stretch. Now I've said my piece, though.
No, it's cool to be biased here. I'm biased. Hey, I'm happy my Hogs got a 3 seed. Heck yeah, let's do it.
We're all gonna have a little bias here as well, so I feel like it's all good.
But anyway, Garrett, is there anything that stuck out to you? Anything you want to speak on?
2 things. Carl kind of touched on it a little bit. I'm going to show my Michigan State bias here a little bit, and I think that it is kind of odd that a team like Syracuse they didn't have to play in a first 4 game, like Carl said. Michigan State has to play. I mean, UCLA, Michigan State's a really good matchup, and I think it's going to be a fun game for a playing game. Typically, you don't find a whole lot of playing games. I feel like year in, year out, they're like must-see TV and things like that. But you have 2 prominent, big name teams playing in the first 4, and then I really like the respect that Alabama got. Alabama has always been known as this powerhouse football team. Not really a whole lot said about their basketball team, but over the past 3 or 4 years, Alabama is building a team down there in Tuscaloosa when it comes to their college basketball as well. So I'm really interested to see how well Alabama plays in this tournament this year.
Alex, you got anything?
I think Gonzaga was rated too hot. No, I'm just kidding. I thought Oregon was rated a little bit lower. I thought they would have been maybe like 5 or 6. I mean, it's not too low. They're 7. Although I think Oregon's like, one of the better known like basketball schools. I thought they would just been a little bit higher than I thought. And then I was kind of surprised to see USC above them in that aspect too. As far as that, I can't really comment all that much. I'm just rolling with the punches with it. I'm glad Ohio State's playing really well. They got really respected, I felt like, by the committee on that. But I'm pretty good with most of this. Georgetown is a sneaky 12 seed, I will say that. But that's pretty much for me. I was good with it. I'm rolling with it. Not that I know a lot. So
you made Dakota very happy with that statement. If he's not watching it right now, he felt it deep down in his soul when about that
Someone
comment
mentioned
about
Oregon and his ears perked up.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's one team that I did get to watch a whole lot this year that wasn't, my Hogs, Woo Pig, rocking the 2012 Cotton Bowl championship hat in support. But I thought it's not that I'm upset or anything. I mean, no love lost for LSU or anything. But getting them as an 8 seed, I think that's fine. It just sucks for them because if they win their first round matchup, their next round is more than likely going to be Michigan, and that's tough. That's going to be it's going to be a good game. I think Michigan and LSU would be an excellent game. And LSU, every opponent that they've played this year, they've played to the wire. They took Alabama down basically to the last shot. Horrible last shot, but they still had a chance to do it. And, I agree about Alabama getting their respect with a pretty good seeding. But let's move on, and we'll talk about the first 4 out. These are teams that did not make the cut, but were extremely close. And I just want to get y'all's thoughts on it real quickly. The first 4 out were Louisville, Colorado State, St. Louis, and Ole Miss. Liz, what do you think? Do you think that any of those teams, because those were the first 4 out and the last 4 in were Michigan State, LSU, Wichita State, and Drake. Would you have picked any of those 4 teams, any of the last 4 teams out over the first 4 in, or do you think the committee did an okay job on that?
I think the committee did an okay job. Being my Syracuse bias, I would have been Louisville over Drake, but that's an ACC bias. But that's the only big one that I really saw as far as the last 4. And I do like how they're having them as replacement teams, though, as if that's a possibility. That was an interesting thing that they brought up of, hey, if COVID hits and we can't have teams in here are your replacement teams.
Yeah. I like that.
Alex, any comment?
No, I'm with her. I thought Louisville should have been over Drake, just because, I don't know, it just doesn't sound right. Oh yeah, Drake got over Louisville. It's just it doesn't sound right to me.
No.
I feel like Louisville could have done
Louisville didn't. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember correctly. Didn't they miss a lot of time due to COVID? They missed quite a bit of time.
They missed 19 days in the middle of the season due to COVID.
That's tough.
They only had 20 games played this year or something, right?
They still had 20 games played. Yeah.
But still, that's tough.
I'm sure, that's outside of their control, obviously, and I get it. That couldn't have helped their chances. It probably hurt their chances significantly when you look at a team like Drake who had almost 30 games played. They have a full resume, basically.
I feel that. Yeah, but that was pretty much the only big one for me. But, I mean, let's just hope next year COVID's not a thing. I know I'm lying to myself, but it's okay.
Okay, Garrett, do you have anything else to add to what you're talking about? Or are you kind of on the same page?
No, Liz and Alex kind of hit the nail right on the head, and I agree with them as well. I think Louisville would have been the only other option there. It's off of name alone. It's off of recency bias. It's off of conference bias. That's all really it. Basically, I agree with them.
Carl, are you with the field on this one?
I sort of am. I would, agree with the Louisville talk. I probably, if I had to put them in over a team, it probably wouldn't have been Drake. It probably would have been Wichita State, actually. But yeah, I mean, that's just me. So that's kind of my thoughts. I mean, the thing is, Drake was, undefeated for a pretty good chunk of the year. And, they've gone toe-to-toe with Loyola Chicago, which is a team a lot of people like. So, I think, they're legitimately good. They struggled with some injuries. So, yeah, I personally would have kept Drake in the field. And if we had to knock one out, I probably would have knocked out Wichita State in favor of Louisville. But I don't really have a problem with the teams that they decided to leave out or put in, really.
All right.
This is fair.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So we have discussed everything else outside of the brackets. And because this is probably going to take a good chunk of time, let's not waste any more of it. And let's dive right into the bracket. But first, we have to actually fill out the rest of the bracket because we've got 4 play-in games. I will go ahead and share my screen now for everyone on stream. Where do I? Oh, it's over here. Crap, I'm forget. Oh no, it's this button. I've already forgotten. I did this like so easily before the stream started, and now I'm an idiot and can't.
He's getting
remember.
stage fright.
I am getting stage fright. My palms are getting sweaty. Didn't have any spaghetti, but I am full on birthday cake right now. It's the sugar withdrawal from all the birthday cake that I've been eating. But you should be able to see. Oh no, wait, they can't see it up on my screen. Son of a gun. That's just you guys. Stop sharing. All right, I'll just bring it over here then, and everyone will be able to see it on the stream. You guys, I'll share it again to you guys so you guys can look at it. But I mean, you can also just look up a bracket on the internet. But this is our Vendetta bracket right here. Got an ad read down here. We are sponsored by SimBull, so definitely go check them out if you don't know what SimBull is. SimBull, instead of gambling specifically on your team, like saying that LeBron James is going to hit the over or under, maybe he's at, the over or under for points that night is 25 points. And he could say you bet the over and he goes under, then, well, you lose. Your Lakers, they failed you. LeBron failed you. But with SimBull, you could actually invest money not in LeBron, but on the team, and that the team will perform better. So maybe LeBron doesn't hit the over on the 25 points, but the Lakers win. You actually get a payout for the NBA, 10 cents a win. For the NFL, it's 50 cents a win. And then for MLB, it is 5 cents a win. So you lose practically no money. Yeah, actually, it's not even practically. You don't lose any money whatsoever. When you deposit with SimBull, you treat teams like you do stocks. So you invest in your teams, you hold equity in your favorite teams or teams that you think are going to be really good either in the now or the future. A team like I am a big Memphis Grizzlies fan. They're not the greatest team in the world right now, but they're building on something. So if you're a big believer that the Grizzlies could be something in the future, or a team like the Pelicans could really be championship contenders in the future, then go ahead and go over to SimBull.app /Vendetta and use the code Vendetta, and you will receive a $10 bonus with your first deposit. So if you deposit $20, then that means in your portfolio you will actually have $30, and you can go out, start your portfolio, start investing with SimBull. All right, let me get this back over here. All right, so
that was great, Jackson.
Oh well, thank you,
great.
Thank you.
Beautiful
That was
ad
off
read.
the dome.
I did,
Off
dude.
the dome,
That
off
was
the
good.
top.
I was
No
like,
notes whatsoever.
That sounds
freestyle
really professional.
Pure
You have to
freestyle.
put a beat up there next time so you could go on the beat, man.
All right, so our first play-in game. This is to decide who will be the 16th seed that will take on Gonzaga in the first round. We have Norfolk State and Appalachian State. Carl, we're going to start with you because you are our local Vendetta expert when it comes to all things college basketball. I'm sure you have about 5 or 6 TVs with about 4 little tiny screens going on everywhere, taking notes like a madman, like Jeremy writing his notes up on the NBA draft, doing over like 100 prospects and only like 10 of them get drafted. No, I'm joking. Jeremy does great work with the NFL and the NBA. Carl, who you got in this game?
Yeah, so I'm not that crazy, but I will have a pretty busy week this week. So, in this game, I'm taking Norfolk State over Appalachian State. Appalachian State didn't have a great regular season, and they, upset a few teams that were probably better than them in their conference tournament and got the automatic bid. So just looking at the whole body of work, I think Norfolk State is a better team. They're a better three-point shooting team. So I like them in this game.
All right, so that is 1 point for Norfolk State. Liz, who do you got advancing to take on Gonzaga?
I agree with Carl. I don't think that the magic train is going to keep going for Appalachian State. I think this is where their Cinderella dreams end. And Norfolk State is a really good three-point shooting team, so I expect to move on.
Garrett, who you got?
You live by the 3, you die by the 3. And I think Norfolk State here will live by the 3. I'm going Norfolk State.
I'll pick the Apple one because I don't know how to say it.
Appalachian
But-
State.
That one, yeah, I can't say that, but it doesn't matter anymore. But I'll pick
One of
that
the
one. I'll
greatest
pick that one anyway.
upsets in NCAA football history.
Yeah, yeah, I'll just pick that one. It doesn't matter. We already got
App
3-2.
State, yeah,
so
we got the 3. I'll go with the field. I trust Carl and them. Again, 2 teams that I know a little bit of, but not too much. But I agree. We'll go with Norfolk State. All right, Norfolk State is in the tournament according to the experts here at Vendetta Sports Media. You can trust us. So the next play-in game we have for the 11th seed. This is to play. Oh, who is that? That is Kansas. I'm correct in saying that, right? Oh no, wait. Is it USC? It's USC, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's USC.
USC, yeah. Sorry, I have to have it like really tiny so that way I can like keep everything together up here. That's what she said. All right, so let's see who gets the 11th seed, and this is between Wichita State and Drake. Let's go to Alex. Let's start with you. Since
I've always liked Wichita State. Like every time, like, and I don't know shit about college basketball usually, but like every time I've always noticed like Wichita State. I don't know. They're just one of those like stingy teams that are hard to get out. I like stingy. I'll go Wichita right here.
Wichita. All right, Garrett. Who you got? Wichita State or Drake?
I feel like watching the last like maybe like decade or so college basketball, you find teams like you just can't bet against in the tournament, and Wichita State's just one of those teams that I don't bet against, especially early as well. When it comes later on, maybe we'll have those discussions, but right now to get in, I'm definitely picking Wichita State.
All right, Liz, I saw you shaking your head agreeing with Garrett. Is that
Yep.
is that your
I
pick?
agree. They are one of those teams where it's March. You don't go against them, at least in the early rounds.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, Garrett. I know we already got 3 in favor of Wichita State. Do you also agree, or do you think Drake pulls off the upset from the field here?
Me?
You meant Carl?
I meant Carl.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh yeah,
My
I mean,
bad.
I know I just went off on that little tangent about how I might have put Louisville in over Wichita State, but I don't see, like, Drake really couldn't shake the injury bug, and they lost a lot of momentum in the second half of the season. So I mean, Wichita State is just like, I remember when they made the Final Four and they kind of made a name for themselves. I mean, it's obviously like not the same team at all, but I'll probably agree with the field here and take Wichita State over Drake.
Clean sweep for Wichita State. Man, am I having a stroke too? I can't speak unless it's
The birthday cake.
What are you drinking over there? Geez.
It's just Mountain Dew, man.
Oh, I thought it was a monster. He's got a birthday cake.
It's the birthday cake. If this is an ad read, off the dome, I could do pretty good, but casual conversation, I can't keep up with myself. All right, so the next play-in game is for the next 11th seed, and this team will be taking on BYU. And we got probably the most entertaining first 4 game, at least for this bracket, and that is Michigan State and UCLA. We'll start with Carl. Carl, who you got, Michigan State or UCLA?
I'm going Michigan State on this one. UCLA's resume is really not that impressive. They played like maybe 2 tournament teams all year. Michigan State is coming off an unfortunate loss to Maryland in the Big Ten tournament, but they did beat like the number 2 or 3 overall Michigan Wolverines before that. And, I would not bet against Tom Izzo in March. So, yeah, I'm going Michigan State.
Yep. Garrett, go with you next. You also taking Michigan State or you going UCLA?
The homer in me, being a Michigan State fan, will definitely pick me to have them go over UCLA for now. Like Carl said, they beat a really strong Michigan team. They did not look good against Maryland in the tournament, but I feel like they're clicking at the right time. And like Carl said, that's a coach you don't bet against in March and Tom Izzo.
Liz?
I agree. I hate Tom Izzo ever since he left Syracuse players off the Olympic teams back in the day, but you don't go against them in the month of March. I swear every year it seems like they're in the Elite Eight, no matter what seed they start off at.
Alex, you good up there?
No, my dog going crazy. They were hearing Tom Izzo, and they were like, yeah, you got to bet Tom Izzo. You got to go with Tom Izzo. So I'm going with Michigan State as well. I got to go with Michigan State.
The dogs picked Tom Izzo. I get it.
It's like Tom Izzo.
I mean, I know it doesn't matter, but I agree. Also, I think in what was a disappointing season for Michigan State standards, I think that them beating Michigan to end the year, I think that's what really helped them get into this first 4 matchup. So we'll add.
Well, and you got to remember they also beat Illinois too.
That too, yeah.
That's another big.
Like I said, it was a disappointing season compared to Michigan State standards of the past. All right, and then the final first 4 game that we have. Let me see if I can find the placeholder on here. We've got Mount St. Mary and Texas Southern. Who you guys got?
Oh, okay. I want to go first.
Right.
I'm going to take Texas Southern just because I'm from Texas. I don't know anything. But I'm gonna go with that. That's gonna go with me. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Texas. I don't know. That's what I'm born and raised. So that's where I'm going.
Liz, what do you think? Who you got? Mount St. Mary or Texas?
I'm a Mount St. Mary's person. That they seem to have some magic come March time as well. So I know it's been a while since they pulled off some of their Cinderellas because they used to come in as the automatic bid a lot and make it really easy and somehow squeak through. So I'm sticking with them, even though they have a terrible record this year.
Carl, who you got moving on?
I think I'm probably going to take Texas Southern. This is one of the games where I don't really have a ton of background knowledge on either of these teams. But I just, looking at where they are sort of in terms of offensive and defensive efficiency and all that, I think I'll probably take Texas Southern in this one, but this one's a toss-up for me. The others I was probably more sure about, but.
All right, it's 2-1 right now. Garrett, are you going to send Texas Southern to the butcher box against Michigan, or are you going to throw your vote behind Mount St. Mary?
I think for content purposes, I'm going to make you make the decision because I'm going to go Mount St. Mary's here just because I have no idea about either one of these teams. and I think it'd be more fun for the viewers to have you make the final pick. So let's hear it.
Well, joke's on you. I don't know too much about them either. But I will throw my trust behind our local Vendetta expert, Carl, and ride with him. I thought you were
going to say me. I said Texas Southern, too. I just want, I thought, okay.
That was just a homer pick. You're just like, I'm from Texas. They're from Texas. That's like a 5-year-old that sees.
I connect with them. We connect, okay?
Think about the number of people who pick based upon colors and somehow pulls upsets off in this. I mean, I've had friends destroy my brackets, and I'm like,
dude, yeah, for
who
sure.
Saw
like
that
mascot. I like the Drake. I was always big at Drake because don't they have like a dragon?
No, that's Drexel.
Drexel. I like picking Drexel just because it has a fucking dragon. And I'm like, that's for me. That's for me.
Here's something, just quick note too. Texas Southern averages about 10 more possessions per game than Mount St. Mary's does. So in terms of like a toss-up game like that, I'd probably trust the team that just plays faster, gets more possessions, gets more shots up to come out on top of that one. So
I agree with Carl. I knew that too. So
100%.
Yeah.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Carl.
He was just
it's like he's reading my mind right now.
Dude, I can't, damn. We're both geniuses now.
All right, so we finally have the full bracket. It is set. So if you are following along with us at home, then we are going to start with Gonzaga and Norfolk State. Some of these will probably go by pretty quickly. Some of them will probably take a bit more time to discuss and to debate. But we're just going to start on the left side of the bracket, go all the way down, do the first round, and then move to the right side, do both regions, go all the way down until finally we have every team moved into the round of 32. And then we'll continue to do the same thing until we get a champion. So, first game up, Gonzaga and Norfolk State. I don't think I need to explain myself too much on this one. I'm going with Gonzaga. I think that everyone is going to do that as well. So, I mean...
Yeah, moving through.
What? No 16-1 upset?
No, not happening.
There's other ones.
year.
You never know. It's not happening to Gonzaga. It's not happening to Gonzaga.
Nah, it's okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a hot minute until someone's like, when it comes to Gonzaga. So we'll see. All right, so Gonzaga easily moving on from Norfolk State. Next matchup we got the 8 and 9 seeds. We got Oklahoma versus Missouri. Let us start with Liz on this one. Liz, who do you like better?
I have Missouri going in this one. 8-9s are always those weird upsets. It's a coin flip for me on here, and I think Missouri's the better team when it comes down to this year. We're not saying that Oklahoma isn't better, or good team. I just think this is the year that they're bounced out in the first round.
Cool. And just real quickly, guys, Rieger in the chat. I've been seeing your stuff. Appreciate your feedback. Just wanted to give you a shout out there for commenting on our stuff. We appreciate you being here and appreciate you watching our stuff and interacting with us. He's agreeing with us though. He was talking about the Mount St. Mary's. He input Mount St. Mary's conference is bad, so Texas Southern is it. TSU being two of the top teams in the conference to advance. So that is Rieger's pick. So thank you, Rieger.
All right.
For his reasoning. Sounds like a guy that really knows his Texas Southern thing. So
I mean, just pick guys from Texas. That's all it is. That's all. I mean, that's, All
right, so we've got Liz going for Missouri here. Let's bounce it over to Garrett. Garrett, who do you like better and why? Oklahoma, Missouri.
I'm going to take Oklahoma here. I don't know a whole lot of either one, but 8's better than 9, so I'm going to go with Oklahoma.
8's better than 9. With that logic, I will go at Oklahoma as well because I'm like, this is really. Liz did say this is a kind of a toss-up thing. I don't know. I kind of just feel like I've heard more about Oklahoma this year, so I'm going to go with Oklahoma as well.
All right, Carl, where do you land?
Yeah, I'm actually, I mean, I kind of have to stick to my guns on this one because I'm on the record with Big Man on Campus saying I wasn't really that high on Missouri, so I can't in good faith take them in this game. I just have to stick to my guns with this one and take Oklahoma. They had a really lame second half of the year, I think, but I've seen what they can do, and their ceiling I think is higher than Missouri's, so I'm going to take Oklahoma.
Yeah, personally, I probably would agree with Liz on Mizzou moving forward. Mizzou also kind of like Oklahoma, kind of a disappointing second half of the season. Missouri used to be really highly ranked, and then after an overtime loss to my Razorbacks, then it just kind of seemed to go downhill from them there. That's the must bus factor, that's what happens when you lose to the must bus. You spiral out of control. But I would have thrown my weight behind Missouri. So Liz and I are in the same wavelength. Will be interesting to see how that goes. But we, as a group, have Oklahoma moving on to take on Gonzaga in the next round. All right. Now, also forgive me for if I mispronounce some of these names. Again, I am terrible and horrible at pronouncing names. So if this is a college that you really like and you get pissed off at me for saying it wrong, just get over it.
No, fuck off. Sorry.
All right. So in the next matchup,
I got your back.
Rika's a Razorback fan too. Woo pig, baby. Let's go.
Dude, why you just found your best friend? Like he's
What's up, Rieger? Find me up on Twitter, JLaw1995. Hit me up.
We'll talk sometime. We'll talk
some hogs. Hey, I'm doing a Razorback Dynasty rebuild on the channel. Look it up.
What's making me laugh is like he's like pointing that way, like he's over there, like
He
like,
is.
"Hey."
I've got a second monitor right here, and his
Oh.
comments are right there. That's how I keep
I
up with
didn't
the
know your
stream.
se-
Yeah.
I didn't know your second
No,
monitor was right here.
I'm
I thought you
cool.
were just pointing over there like
I'm
he was
cool,
over
Alex.
there. Like
I got a screen from like 2011 that I somehow got to work on my PC.
hey.
Anyway,
If it works.
moving on. We're getting way off topic here. We've got Cretan and UC Santa Barbara in the 5-12 matchup. Going to throw it to Alex because you were arguing with me just then. Who you got moving on from Cretan and UC Santa Barbara?
Just watching from the Big East tournament, Creighton actually played pretty well. I didn't think they would be playing that well, but I thought they played pretty well until they played Georgetown. And then like it seemed like it was a weird game, like they got blown out in that game. So I want to go with Creighton here, just because I think they're just gonna be a more reliable team as of 5-12.
Right. Rieger, I live in Arkansas too. What up? Let's see. Let's go to Carl. Carl, who you got moving on?
Yeah, I've been throwing this one back and forth because I think the Georgetown game really just kind of I won't say exposed Creighton. It really just exposed the Big East for not being that strong of a conference this year. But it was a weird game for Creighton because they were not hitting any shots, and I really don't think that'll happen again. They're still a really solid offensive team with a really good point guard in Marcus Zagorowski. So as much as I love the 12-5 upsets, I'm gonna go with Creighton on this one.
Liz?
I'm a big fan of the 5-12 upsets, but not on this one. I think Creighton's going to have it. So I agree with the field on this one.
Now, we got Creighton moving on, but Garrett, you want to throw your 2 cents in real quick?
I've got 2 5-12 upsets this year, and this isn't one of them. Creighton's moving on.
I agree. 5-0 sweep. All right. So now we're moving on to the 4-13 matchup. We've got Virginia and Ohio to see who will be taking on Cretan in the next round. Let's throw it to Garrett since he was last this past time. Who you got moving on, Virginia or Ohio?
Virginia's an odd team to like forecast because they've won a national championship in the past 5 years. They're a very good head coach team. They typically play well in March. 4 seed is a little bit lower. Yeah, typically speaking, obviously we all know what happened a couple years ago. But,
Hey, they won the Natty the next year, so good story.
Yeah.
What a hell of a bounce back too. Honestly, going from making history one way to making history another way by winning it all. It's fine, I suppose. I'm picking Ohio here. I just don't have a ton of faith in Virginia moving forward, but I think this 4-13 goes towards Virginia. This one.
Alex, you seemed very enthusiastic about that pick, so why don't you go next?
I don't know all that much about Ohio. Even though Virginia, I don't typically trust them after that. So I'm gonna go with Virginia. But I don't know. I'm gonna go with Virginia on this one.
Carl?
Yeah. So the thing with Virginia that I'm gonna pick Virginia, I will say, because I trust Tony Bennett for the most part in March. The thing though that makes them very vulnerable to upsets is just how slow they play, which kind of comes with their defensive system. But yeah, like I think they're last in the country in tempo of every single Division I teams, like all 357 of them or however many there are. Ohio has a really good point guard in Jason Preston. He's really impressive, but I guess I'm going to go with Virginia.
All right, so Virginia's moving on, but Liz, do you have anything you want to add to the
Ohio
discussion?
was going to be one of my Cinderella teams until I saw this matchup, and I think Virginia will be able to slow it down enough where they'll be able to play their style of basketball for this matchup.
I like the idea of an Ohio upset. I'm not going to lie. So, I mean, we'll have Virginia moving on here, but if I'm individually betting game by game, this may be one of those games where if you bet on it individually for Ohio to move on, it could be a very low risk, high reward, just because of how well Ohio has been playing as of recent, and just from the fact that it's a 13 seed going up against a 4 seed, and it's Virginia. So who knows? Because Virginia's either going to get upset in the first round or they're going to win it all. There's no in between for them.
There really is no between.
Yeah.
I like that attitude sometimes.
But 13 over 4 happens 20% of the time. I did research actually on. I found data, so that's 20% of the time. So
take that for data. All right, moving on. Next matchup, we've got USC and then Wichita State, the other one of our other winners from the play-in game. So we'll start with Liz. Liz, who you got moving on? You rolling with USC, or does Wichita State pull off the upset?
I'm keeping Wichita State pulling off an upset here.
I love it.
It's March. Gotta have a Cinderella.
I love it. Carl, you looking for an upset, or you think USC steamrolls?
Yeah, I think USC is one of these teams that's a lot better than people give them credit for. I think they could have reasonably gotten a 4 or 5 seed, and I wouldn't really have thought anything of it. Yeah, I'll have other upsets. Like, I hate going chalk so far, but USC has a projected top 2 pick in the NBA draft in Evan Mobley. He's like a real do-it-all center, and I think he can carry them. So I'm going to go USC here, as much as I hate to do it.
All right, so we are 1-1 right now. Garrett, who are you going to give the edge to here, USC or Wichita State?
I love upsets, and I also love Wichita State. I referenced it when we were doing the playing games. You never bet against Wichita State in March. However, like Carl said, USC has a stud at center who I think will carry them through at least through the first round, and that'll cause an interesting matchup against what will end up probably being Kansas in the next game. We'll get to that in a second, I suppose. I'm taking USC here.
All right, so we got 2 for USC, 1 for Wichita State. Alex, you loved Wichita State. Who you got?
We're tying it up. It's Wichita State.
I'm
taking Wichita. We're taking Wichita. Wichita.
Gosh, you guys putting so much pressure on me.
It's good for you, Jackson.
I'm the host. I'm supposed to put the pressure on you guys. Gosh. I'm just going to make Carl go last every time, so it's him.
Stop stalling. Make a pick. Stop stalling.
I'm thinking, Alex. I'm thinking. Okay, gosh. Okay. I don't know. I like upsets, but it's like, do I want to go with the upset just because I like upsets? And I kind of agree with Carl in saying that USC is probably better than a 6 seed. And I do like Mobley. So I think I'm just going to I think I'm going to rock with USC here. I think that's who's going to move on.
Woo.
You guys can go make your own bracket.
I'm going to.
Make your own bracket. Have Wichita State win their play-in game and then win this game, okay? And then we'll talk.
I will.
Alex is gonna have Wichita State winning the national title just to be petty like that in one of its brackets.
Guys, I am not that. Well, okay, hold on.
Yeah, not that petty. Is that what you're about to say? Mm-hmm. Anyone that reads the Slack messages knows otherwise. All right.
Exposed.
Our next matchup, we've got Kansas and Eastern Washington. We're going to throw it to Garrett to start out here. Garrett, who you have moving on, Kansas or Eastern Washington?
I mentioned it when I was picking the USC Wichita game that I think Kansas is moving on pretty easily. I'm taking Kansas here.
Kansas, all right. Carl?
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about this. I'm going with Kansas.
Liz, Kansas?
Kansas as well.
Kansas.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was...
Sorry, Eastern Washington. Just be regular Washington. You know what I mean? Like,
not good enough to be regular Washington.
You have to be on the East. Don't
Actually, they might be good enough to be regular Washington. They're pretty bad.
They play a game each year for who gets the title next year of just Washington.
Yeah, there you go.
Washington.
And the losing team, it's locale plus Washington.
Oof.
All right, so we're almost done with this region. We're moving on. We've got seventh seed Oregon again. Dakota's ears just perked up wherever he's at, and VCU. Oh, let's throw it to Alex to start out with this one here. Alex, who you got moving on, Oregon or VCU?
I kind of alluded to it earlier. I thought, at least in my eyes, I thought maybe Oregon was a little bit too low. Just being kind of known as a good sports school, and they're usually pretty good in basketball. So I thought I'm gonna rock with Oregon on this one.
Carl.
Yeah, this is a really interesting matchup because Oregon is significantly better on offense than they are on defense, and VCU is significantly better on defense than they are on offense. I'm gonna go with VCU here because I'm a little confused about how Oregon is extremely efficient with their scoring, but they also don't play with a very like fast-paced tempo either. So I'm a little wary of their offense. I think if it stalls for a game, which it very well could against VCU, who have arguably like a top 15 defense, then I think they could be out. A lot of people like Oregon as like a pretty trendy like Elite Eight pick just because of their offensive upside, but I'm gonna go VCU on this one.
All right, Liz, who you got moving on?
I'm Team VCU on this one. This is a really close matchup actually, and VCU actually had really good quadrant scores as far as this year goes. They tend to have really good marches too when they're in the tournament. And I live in Virginia, so I got to pick the Virginia team, even though I hate UVA.
All right, Garrett, are you gonna tie it up here? Or are you gonna have VCU moving on?
I'm not going to tie it up here. We're going to have VCU moving on here just because Carl alluded to it as well again. Oregon is so inconsistent with their offense. If, like Carl said, if they have one off shooting night, VCU can make them pay on the defensive side of the ball. And like Liz said as well, VCU is always a sneaky team in March where you got to keep their eye on them. It's those little schools that show all the grit and stuff like that that make you a little leery against picking against them. So we're gonna have VCU moving on here.
VCU is moving on. Trey left the meeting.
All right, Trey.
Thanks, Trey.
Loved the input. Expert analysis.
Expert analysis.
All right, so VCU moving on. I've lost where VCU's at. There they are. VCU pulling off the upset? Question mark. We'll see. All right. So now we are to Iowa, and a school who I swear I see their commercials everywhere all the time, no matter what channel or what I'm watching. Grand Canyon.
True.
We'll start with Carl here. Iowa or Grand Canyon?
Yeah, it's Iowa pretty easily for me. Although I will say, if something possessed you to pick a 15-2 upset, I think this would probably be the one you have to pick. But I'm going Iowa, and I think by a lot.
By a lot. Let's go with Liz. Are you taking Iowa?
I'm going Iowa. Yeah.
Garrett?
It would be
Hammer
the 15-2, but not this year.
Yeah, I already typed in Iowa up here. Maybe Grand Canyon will be so depressed I'll actually see commercials for other universities out there. I will say they're better than the ITT Tech commercials that I see all the time. Trey is back again, by the way.
I'm not. Trey's going back and he's messaging me, and I'm like trying to tell him. I was like, yeah, he said he can't see us or hear us. Trey, can you hear me now?
God.
He can't hear me. Trey.
I mean, I granted him access.
Well, it might be his computer. I think it's his computer. And he says, I'm bad with technology.
That's true, though. Golly.
I really am. I really am, though. Like, it's so... I'm like, how do I work this? You saw me earlier, Jackson. I was trying to get my mic.
Yeah.
That was a struggle.
All
What?
right. Let me...
I'm back in now. I don't know how you don't see anyone, Trey.
Just use your eyes, Trey.
Just
It's
just
not that
use
hard,
that.
Trey.
Gosh.
All right, so instead of like saving it as a picture or anything, I'll just show the audience the actual like PowerPoint because I'm terrible with any other thing we got or any other like editing software. I'm not tech savvy like Sophie the goat. Shout out Sophie or Amanda or anyone else on the site is. But this is our first part of the bracket, the upper left hand side that we have completed so far. Again, we are brought to you by SimBull. SimBull is they are not a betting app. They are more. It's more of like. Oh, it's not even like it's you put stock into your team. So if you believe that if a team like let's say in the NFL, like if you think the Indianapolis Colts are the next big thing because they got Carson Wentz in a trade, or you really think that Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence down in Jacksonville is going to be the next greatest thing since sliced bread hitting the NFL, then go to SimBull.app /Vendetta and use the code Vendetta and you will receive a $10 bonus on your first deposit. So if you put in $20, then you're going to have $30 in your portfolio. You can go buy MLB, NFL, and NBA stock, and you don't lose when the team loses, but you win when they win. Stock prices go up after wins, and the market is completely driven by us, the people that purchase and invest in teams. So you're not going to have any of that Robin Hood BS where when a stock really starts to take off, they're going to shut down the market. There's nothing to worry about there. Again, go to SimBull.app /Vendetta, use the code Vendetta, and you'll receive $10 in your first deposit and start your portfolio and investing in your favorite sport teams with SimBull today. All right, I accidentally hit the wrong button. Got to send that back over here. All right, so now we are moving on to the next bracket just below, going back with the new number 1 seed here. We got Michigan against Texas Southern. Let's throw it to Carl to start out with. Again, Carl is our regional Vendetta expert in all things college basketball. So, Carl, who you got moving on here, Michigan or Texas Southern?
Yeah, Michigan. It didn't really take a lot of expertise to say that.
Yeah, I'll get you first on a better, like more, like a better matchup.
Yeah,
I feel like
one.
I feel like I've got you first on the Gonzaga one, and then now Michigan.
Yeah, but for what it's worth, my so-called expertise has the 1 seed beating the 16.
There you go.
Good job.
All right.
Good job,
so I'll just throw it out in general. Does anyone else have Texas Southern doing anything here? Because then we'll just move on. Okay. We'll just move on. So now we will go on to see. Hold on a sec, Trey. I'll get to you in a second. Now we're moving on to who Michigan will be playing in the next round, and that is either LSU or I can't even freaking pronounce this, dude.
St. Bon. Just say St.
St. Bonaventures, the Bonnies.
Okay, the Bonnies. All right, St. Bon. LSU or St. Bon. Carl, will throw it to you first this time.
All right. Yeah, so I walked into Selection Sunday thinking no matter who St. Bonaventure plays, I'm going to pick them. But then I watched the SEC championship game, and I'm now going to change that and pick LSU. I think if St. Bonaventure played any team other than the LSU team that I just watched, I would be picking them. But when LSU defends like they did today and they hit shots like they did today, they're a scary team, and they really hung with Alabama. It's a really good game, so I'm going to go with LSU on this one.
Liz, LSU?
I'm going with LSU on this one, even though I think St. Bonaventure is a pretty good team and would have had chances anywhere else. But LSU is clicking at the right time.
Garrett?
I'm riding the Bonnies just because it sounds fun.
Riding the Bonnies.
That's all I got.
Alex, you sending LSU up against Michigan, or you're riding the Bonnies?
No, I liked watching LSU in the conference tournament. They played really well, I felt like, and we're going head to head with Bama. So I'm gonna go with LSU on this one.
Yeah, LSU is who I'd be rocking with too. I got to watch a lot of SEC basketball, not just because, again, I'm a Razorback fan and I watch them play the Razorbacks, but just a lot of SEC basketball in general this year. And the SEC teams that are in here, so like LSU, I guess outside of Tennessee's all right. And then of course I'm going to be a homer with Arkansas. But I'm going to be a realistic homer with them. I'm not going to be like, one of these people that's going to put them down to win the chip. Maybe in a different bracket, but you never know. But LSU, again, Bonnie, they're good, but LSU has played phenomenally down the stretch. They played great in the tournament. And SEC basketball, the top teams, the top seeds, they were no pushovers. So, and they ran through them pretty decently. Now we get to probably the most interesting round one matchup. This is what a lot of people are circling.
Hold on, Jackson. In or out, Trey. You're wasting our air conditioning, okay? You need to go in or out. He keeps going in and out the house, and I mean, he's wasting all this air conditioning. I mean, man, in or out. Golly. You're not going to be in and out the whole time.
Thank you, Alex.
Alex is practicing his parenting skills.
I know.
Yeah.
I have to. I have the crib right here. I got to build it.
No, you've already got to learn, don't touch the thermostat. That's like the first words you have to teach your child.
Touch.
Trust me, I'm already getting the little guy in the next room trained for that. Or else it's gonna be a little bit that. No, I'm joking. All right, so as I was saying, probably the most interesting round one matchup. This is what a lot of people have circled, and this is like the popular when people talk about 12-5 upsets. This is probably the most popular 12-5 upset. We got 5-seeded Colorado and 12-seeded Georgetown. We are going to again, to make up for Carl for only having number 1 seeds to start out with, we'll throw it to Carl here for the most interesting matchup. I'd argue probably one of the more interesting, if not the most, definitely one of the best matchups, or one of the more intriguing matchups of round one. Carl, who you got?
Yeah, this is definitely one of the more interesting ones, and I'm riding the upset train on this one. I'm taking Georgetown after watching them just absolutely obliterate Creighton. Patrick Ewing has got this team right at the right time, and yeah, I don't know. They absolutely blew out one of the best teams in their conference. I think they're a lot better than their regular season record would suggest, and I haven't really been high on Colorado all year, so I'm going to get Georgetown.
Let's go with Liz. Who you got moving on? You like the upset?
Sorry, technical errors there.
Oh, you're fine.
No, I'm going with the upset. I'm going with the upset too. Patrick Ewing has it. Besides, somebody's got to repay him for getting ID'd at Madison Square Garden.
Trey is finally here, by the way.
Finally. He's muted.
He's muted. We can't hear.
What's up?
You know what? No, you can never
this is a
complain about my
disaster.
tech. You can't say I'm bad at technology. You went in and out like 7 times, and then like you were muted.
I don't know what was
me.
going on. I don't know what was going on. I just wanted to check in, see how everything was going.
It's going good, man.
Going good?
We're over a quarter of the way through the bracket.
I see someone didn't get an invite. What was with that?
We said it like 20 times.
I wasn't talking about myself. I was talking about somebody else.
Oh,
It was in the general chat.
Oh.
but this was like we planned this out 3 days before, and we had 5 people, and then we can't add 6. We already made Jackson
the
maybe.
crowd.
Yeah.
I just wanted to check in. I'm leaving. Anyway.
No, I'm not talking about you. I thought you were talking about someone else.
Anyway, tomorrow night, me, Carl, and a special guest will be recording That Some Cheese. Episode will come out on Tuesday, and we're going to have some big news on Tuesday.
There's a little teaser here.
So that's all I wanted to say. You guys keep doing your thing. I'm going to go.
All right.
All right.
Tune
Later.
in tomorrow.
Man, and he just dips like that. Gosh.
I know. God.
He'll be
So
back.
rude. So rude.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
It'll take him like 6
In or
times to
out,
get him,
Trey.
though.
In or out, Trey. In or out. It might take him 6 times to get in and out again.
All right, so we got Georgetown 2-0 right now in picks, if I remember correctly. Let's throw it to Garrett. Who you got moving on?
I teased earlier that I have 2 5-12 upsets, and this is definitely one of them. Like everyone's been saying beforehand, Patrick Ewing's got this team right. They're one of those hot teams that I think could really make some noise in the dance this year. If Colorado can get to the free throw line, they're one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. They can definitely change the game if they get there. But I have a hard time picking against a streaky team like this. So I'm going to ride Georgetown here.
You want to put your 2 cents in here, Alex?
I'm with Georgetown. I was watching a lot of the Big East, and Georgetown was like one of those that were just like going, and then they just killed Creighton. So I was just like, well, shit, okay. And Colorado, I don't know, they didn't really impress me. playing in theirs, playing in their conference tournament. So I'm gonna go with Georgetown too, and Patrick Ewing. So he's just Patrick Ewing. So I'm just gonna roll with it.
And a lot of times when you have professional athletes that come back to coaching, it doesn't always necessarily work out. Especially, you would think someone like Patrick Ewing going to the collegiate level, but it's really worked out. He's got this team moving and grooving. He's doing a lot better than Penny Hardaway, who's right down the road from me, from a city that you can no longer name on Twitter now, or else it gets you banned.
I forgot that. Yeah. Dude, and didn't they have a really good recruiting class too?
They always have a good recruiting class. They just can't get it figured out because either, like I said, they can't get it worked out when it's time to implement the game plan, or they're paying guys to come live in Memphis years prior, and then it gets found out by the NCAA, and then they get suspended and they just don't play.
Oof.
It's tough.
It's a big oof. It's tough. Happens.
All right, so moving on, we've got number 4 seed Florida State, and then I think that's 13th seed. Yeah, 13th seed UNC Greensboro. Let's throw it to Alex to start out with. He's been last year a couple times. So Alex, who you got moving on, Florida State or UNC Greensboro?
I was a little bit skeptical about Florida State. I still kind of am, even though 13-4. There's usually happens at least once in the tournament. I'm a roll with Florida State. I think that's safer for me, so I'm gonna go with Florida State.
Carl.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go with Florida State. I'm pretty high on them, honestly. They're a really athletic team, and it kind of came down to the wire in the ACC championship against Georgia Tech, and that was only because Florida State turned the ball over like 25 or 26 times, which, ball security definitely could be a concern, but I just that's such an extreme outlier in terms of how they've kind of taken care of the ball this season that I don't think that's something really that I'm concerned with. So I'm gonna go with Florida State.
Liz?
I'm going Florida State as well. I don't think that they're going to have the same issues that they had in the ACC tournament as well.
Garrett, care to throw
No
your
need
2
to
cents?
buck the trend here. Florida State here.
Florida State. All right, I've messed up on my thing here. Get that going. There we go. All right, fixed it. Sweet. All right, so now we're moving on. Next matchup, the one team that really kind of gave Gonzaga a little bit of trouble, BYU and Michigan State, who we had moving on from UCLA in the first 4 matchup. So let's go with Garrett. We'll start it with you this time. Who you got moving on, BYU or Michigan State?
My Michigan State fanboy still rides through here. I'm riding with Michigan State and Tom Izzo. He knows how to coach in March. He knows how to get the boys ready, and I think it's gonna be a highly competitive game because BYU played really well against Gonzaga a little while ago. But I'm riding Michigan State here.
Liz.
I agree. It's March. You can't go against Tom Izzo. I'm picking Michigan State here as well, even though I don't want to do it.
All right, so 2 Michigan State. Wow, that's interesting. Carl, who you got moving on?
Yeah, I'll say that the reason that BYU was able to hang with Gonzaga for that first half and be ahead by like 11 at half was because they were shooting 65% from the field, which was just insane. And then things went back to normal, and they ended up losing by double digits. So I don't know, because the thing is, I've watched a lot of Big Ten basketball this year, and so I've seen the best of Michigan State, and I've also seen the worst of Michigan State. The worst of Michigan State's really bad, but I have to keep going with Tom Izzo in this game. I think there are other 6 seeds that would really give them a problem, but I'm gonna stick with Michigan State here against maybe my better judgment.
All right, Alex, you got anything to add?
Dude, I'm glad you didn't pick on me because I was thinking I was gonna tell you a pass. I was gonna pass because I don't know. There's Tom Izzo's a great coach, and then if BYU can play a fraction of what they did against Gonzaga in that first half, then I think they can hang with a lot of teams, but I'm glad the consensus right now is Michigan State because we'll just roll with that because I didn't really want to make that pick, so I'll roll with Michigan State.
Dang, should have called on you. I'll try to remember
No,
that next time.
I would have gave you a pass. I would have been like, pass. Sorry.
Hey, I haven't gotten a pass tonight. You don't get a pass.
You go last.
So?
That's not bad.
So?
Yeah, but we've made Jackson break.
I'm
two
the host
tiebreakers
here.
so
What I
far.
say goes.
Well, he still got to. Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Oh, you got to play the host card.
But,
Okay.
but
Play the host.
personally, it is kind of tough because if BYU plays, if they're shooting lights out from 3 again, I could see them moving on. But Michigan State, kind of like what Carl said, I've seen them at their best and I've seen them at their worst. So I'll just give the 5-year-old answer. And there's 2 alumni from Michigan State on the Grizzlies. So
Seems fair.
Xavier Tillman and Jaren Jackson Jr.
There you go.
Stud.
Who, by the way, Xavier Tillman and Jaren were both they were tight. They were like this. They were roommates in college, and Tillman was the best man at Jaren's wedding. And then the Grizzlies drafted him.
Well, damn.
The more you know.
Fun facts with Jackson.
Fun fact to Jackson and the Grizzlies because you can't say the city no more.
Yeah, you can't say they are just the Grizzlies.
That team from Tennessee.
Yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do about the college. I'm
Tough scene.
Very tough. All right, so moving down the line here next, we've got Texas and Abilene Christian. Let's throw it to Liz here to start off. Who you got moving on to face Michigan State in the next round?
I have Texas moving on here. I know Abilene has had some pretty good games, but I don't see them continuing on past this point.
Alex?
Even though Abilene Christian's kind of close to me, a couple hours out, but I'm gonna go with Texas on this one just because watching them and in their conference tournament, they played really well. So I think it's a no-brainer.
Carl?
Yeah, I'm going with Texas here. I mean, we kind of referenced how VCU is a tough team earlier, just in past years in March Madness, and they reached the Final Four with Shaka Smart, who's now the coach of Texas. There have been times this year where Texas has looked like a legitimate Final Four contender, and I've heard some nice things about Abilene. I've heard some good things about their offense, but I'm rolling with Texas.
All right, we got Texas moving on, but Gary, you got anything to add here?
I'm super high on Texas this year. They have shown a lot throughout the year that they have what it takes to be a national title contender, and then all the things that Shaka Smart did with Wichita State shows that he knows how to coach in March when the time matters most. So I'm riding with Texas here.
All right, Texas is moving on to face Michigan State in the next round. Next matchup we got going on, we got the 7-10 matchup, UConn versus Maryland. Garrett, I will throw it to you first here. Who you got moving on into the next round, UConn or Maryland?
Maryland played really well in the Big Ten tournament this year. I mean, they completely dispatched Michigan State and made them look like they shouldn't even belong in the same court, really, a double-digit win. But with that being said, I'm probably going to ride UConn here. I'm going to go with bigger name. UConn had a pretty decent regular season, so I'm going to go with UConn.
Liz, who you got?
I have Maryland. Even though Maryland's been up and down all this year, they played a harder schedule. I think that it's going to pay off come March Madness. Besides, I hate UConn. I won't ever say them.
All right. Tell us how you really feel about them, Liz. We'll go to Carl next. Carl, who you got moving on? We are 1-1 right now.
Yeah, I'm from Maryland. I'm a Maryland basketball fan.
Okay, I thought so.
There's a lot of self-loathing that comes with that. And once I saw that we had to play UConn, I was honestly really disappointed because I think UConn is going to absolutely destroy us. Their record when they have James Bouknight in the lineup, who's their best player, he missed a bunch of games with injury, but their record with him is like unbelievable. I pretty much predicted before the Big East tournament that they were going to go pretty far, and I don't see how we beat them with Bouknight. I really don't. Our offense has just not been that great this year. Our 3-point shooting's been a disaster. Defensively, we've been pretty good, but as much as I love my Terps, I'm going with UConn. I'm going with UConn.
All right.
Maryland. I'll do Maryland for Carl's sake. I'll do it
Yeah.
for you, Carl. Maryland. We'll go Maryland. Tie it up. All right, Jackson.
Yep.
All right, Jackson. Tie it up.
All
now.
right. All right. So we got UConn or Maryland. It's hard. UConn is just, I mean, legacy's sake, they're always right there. But I think I'm gonna have to go with Maryland here. I like.
Do it for Carl. Do it for Carl.
I'll do it for Carl, and
All right.
I do agree with Liz. Harder schedule. It'll pay off. It'll pay off in the long run. So we're gonna go with Maryland.
All right.
Moving
we'll
on.
see.
he's like, why? Yeah.
Guys.
Really wish we hadn't.
Yeah.
Bracket busted right there in Carl's
Yeah,
mind.
no, you're getting my hopes up. You're getting my hopes up.
All right, and then to finally finish out the entire left side of the bracket, we've got Alabama and Iona. I mean, it's Alabama and Iona. Anybody?
Bama.
I always pick Iona in my brackets only because I grew up like 10 minutes away from there, but I'm actually not doing it this year.
I'll
And it's Patino. Yeah, no.
true.
I'm not willing to. I don't see a 15-2 this year.
Yeah, like Liz said, Iona's coached by Rick Pitino. But yeah, it's not going to happen for him this year.
It's an intriguing pick. I mean, we're all riding Bama, but like, I don't know. It's an intriguing pick just because of the head coaching matchups for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So we are completely done with the left side of the bracket, an hour into this thing. All right. Well, let's not waste any more time. Let's move to the complete right side of the bracket, and we will try to get through these as quick as possible. We got 1-seeded Baylor against 16-seed Hartford. Gonna throw it to Alex here to start out with. Alex, who you got moving on into the next round, Baylor or Hartford?
You gotta go with Baylor here. Isn't it Hartford's like first time being in the tournament? I don't know. It's Baylor. They're one of the best teams in the country. I can't see anyone picking against them. So,
Liz,
I got Baylor as well.
Carl, Garrett, either you guys?
Baylor by a million.
Baylor by like 20 plus probably.
Probably 40 plus if we're being honest. Yeah.
yeah, just fucking destroy.
Just hammer the over on Baylor and we'll be fine. Make yourself a little money this weekend.
Destroy their entire we made it to the tournament and then just fucking destroy them. Just
crush their hopes and dreams.
Yeah, I'm all for it. You know what I mean?
Crush them back to Division II. That's how Baylor's going to do it.
Yikes.
They worked this hard to climb up to Division I and play. What is it? It used to be there's an X amount of years before you're eligible to play in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6.
Yeah. They grinded that entire way and just gonna crush them and send them right back to Division II.
Yeah, just fucking do it. Doesn't matter.
You won't do it, Baylor.
You won't. You won't. No balls. No, you won't.
All right, so now definitely a very interesting matchup. Probably next to, mostly just because of seeding. When we talked about earlier, Georgetown and Colorado. This one a bit more close, but gonna be a lot of fun as well. Gonna be a must-watch. We've got North Carolina and Wisconsin. So we are going to throw at Carl here, starting out with Carl. Who you got moving on in this matchup?
I'm picking Wisconsin in this one. I think this is definitely going to be a tough game for them, given how they've struggled with their offense recently. But Wisconsin was a preseason top 5 team, and while you might not think that means very much, there's actually a couple really well-written articles out there that, the preseason top 25 is actually a pretty good indicator of March Madness success. So I'm going to go with Wisconsin. I think they can turn it around. They're usually a pretty tough out this time of year. So it's really, really tough that they'll have to play Baylor if they win this game. But for now, I'm going to go with Wisconsin.
All right, one for Wisconsin. Liz, who you got moving on?
I got Wisconsin as well. I don't see UNC playing their best basketball right now, and Wisconsin, like Carl said, was a preseason top 5. They played in a better conference this year, to be honest. So I think they're moving on.
Garrett.
I'm riding Wisconsin as well. North Carolina kind of got a bad draw here. I mean, they're one of those teams you have to keep an eye on come March anyway. Like Roy Williams is a hell of a coach, but it's just tough draw here for North Carolina. Wisconsin moving on.
Alex, you got anything